Hey, Bigpod.
What?
I ran into a problem with Void Linux already.
Who knew you ran into an issue?
Yeah. And of course, every single year I run into this issue. And it has been an issue that was that is related to the whole cause of this open source software movement. You know, way back in the days of, Richard Stallman working in an MIT office and all that. Of course, I'm talking about printers.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess that's where we play the music. Hey guys, welcome to No Tux Allowed, our future Warhammer podcast, but never mind about that. Today, I am your host, Josh, and I have brought along my best buddy, old pal, all the way from the wonderful nation of Slovenia, which one of these days I might visit one time for a whole month on my Euro trip. It's Bigpod.
Hello.
All right, Bigpod, I would like to talk about the world's greatest Warhammer army, the Adeptus Mechanicus. Do you know anything about it?
What you're talking about?
Oh, they worship toasters, but we'll talk about that later.
Interesting.
Because first of all, I heard that my mom's Windows 10 computer broke.
Oh.
Yes, and this is how I ran into this article. Because Microsoft pushed out an update. And in typical Microsoft fashion, something happened. They labeled it as a mandatory update, which meant that Microsoft Windows was going to install it one way or another. And now, when you go to turn on the computer, you get a BitLocker prompt.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is an interesting topic here because I don't really know what's actually wrong. I have read this article like 3 or 4 times. And all I'm seeing is people said that there's an issue. Here's how you get around it, by disabling secure boot, virtual technologies, doing a couple registry edits, and then reboot the system. And then apparently Microsoft updated it. Yeah. So I would like to know what they actually did. And I'm starting to wonder, does Microsoft even know what they're doing? Because this is not the first time that we've seen this. Lighted. This is coming from the God grace hand of Microsoft themselves, and not somebody else that's trying to run like anti-virus software or anything like that.
My guess would be, and this is a total guess, something in the settings triggers it. Basically, the configuration of the system changes enough due to the update that the BitLocker thinks something is wrong, whether the drive was inserted into a different system or something else, which could also be something changed in the secure enclave that is TPM.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. They did make a posting here on like their known issues list, and they're classifying this for Windows 10 version 22H2, which I believe is the latest version. And
I'm not sure.
I mean, that's what they're saying is Windows version 22H2, and they're saying that it's specifically with the devices making use of the Intel Trusted Execution technology on 10th gen and later processors.
Okay, so that is something that now that makes sense. Yeah, it's hardware-based security feature that verifies the authenticity of hardware. So if they changed something, that something goes into and basically triggers the security system that is BitLocker to not decrypt your files without you entering the recovery key.
Ah, okay. So it's a good thing that Microsoft did that. That you're seeing this prompt then, because apparently something changed and it just needs to re-verify.
Yes, essentially, BitLocker is a hardware encryption or software-based encryption of your operating system. Think of it like on Linux we have LUKS.
Yeah.
This is the exact same thing. Or when you boot your phone, you have to enter your code or draw your pattern or whatever to decrypt the phone.
Yeah. So in my
This is the
experience,
exact same thing.
now in my experience, I've never actually set up like Lux to work with the secure boot shim before. I've always treated those like very separately from each other.
It doesn't
So
actually work with secure boot shim. Secure boot
or
shim is just one of the parts of the chain. So
yeah, well, in my experience setting up Lux on Linux, there are like old distro hacking streams where people have seen me like manually set up and configure Lux before. It's actually not that difficult, but I have set up Lux before and made like kernel level and hardware level changes to a system before, and not, and it would still well, I didn't use like a key authentication or anything like that. I always just use the password. So it'll I've always just entered the password and it worked perfectly fine, and I didn't have to jump through nearly half the steps that Microsoft mentioned here to actually get the system working.
Here's the thing. You use the key, a password, whatever. Like on your phone, you use your either pattern, your login key, or whatever you use. The catch here is this. BitLocker, by default, uses TPM in connection with couple other things to create basically a fingerprint of your device. And every time it boots, it checks your device against this fingerprint. It is normally stored in TPM. That's kind of the point. That's why it's TPM. And secure boot is one of those things it checks. As soon as one of those things is missing, that fingerprint doesn't go together with what it newly calculated, and ask for recovery. Now there may be some so my guess is they changed something that changed something else, and because of that the output comes out wrong. So changing a value may make the output close enough for BitLocker to go, yeah, you can pass without entering a recovery key. Recovery key is essentially a password, a long password that's auto-generated. In the olden days, you could have a BitLocker with a password, but who wants to use that on a laptop?
Well, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because they're talking about like the workarounds for this. Also, like entering in and doing registry edits in the registry editor to work around this issue.
Yes, my guess is you can trick the system into, specifically due to their update, you can trick the system into correctly attestating the hardware.
Okay.
For the old version of my guess BitLocker attestation software or attestation algorithm.
Okay, well,
that would be my guess based on everything I read. This is what is my guess, because that's like it is. I did simplify how the BitLocker using secure boot TPM, all that works. It's a bit more complicated than that. Even I don't understand it, but that's the simple version of it. Very simplified version. Like, this is supposed to be hard to understand. It's encryption, it's security. It's supposed to be hard to understand.
Yeah, well, anyways, if you want to do like your own due diligence on this, like you probably should, if you think that you might be falling into the group of interest that would actually pay attention to something like this, unlike me. We have it linked in the show notes. So
I have
just go down there.
solution for all of you who need to know this because you run Windows 10. Install Windows 11.
But what if they don't have a system that's compatible?
Then install Linux.
Okay.
And not give a damn about Windows. And if you really need a Windows system, then install something, or rather like install a second GPU, which you probably should already have if you're playing games, because you have your CPU with the iGPU, and just virtualize your system, because you can virtualize the TPM.
That's true, you can.
Problem solved. 3 more steps and you solve the problem.
Yep. So
or deal with Linux. But please don't run Windows 10 anymore.
But what if I'm not using encryption or anything? I mean, I'm only planning on running Windows 10 until like the middle of October.
Then you might be better served by jumping in the ocean right now, into the deep end of the ocean.
Okay, because I can download Windows 10, but I still can't download Windows 11 for some stupid reason.
Great.
This is from going to Microsoft's website. So maybe I just need to install Windows 10 just to upgrade to 11. So the importance of PCI Express slot power only, meaning that you don't need that PCI Express power connection, or that 6 plus 6 pin power connection, or that goofy connection that NVIDIA has been trying so hard for like the past two GPU generations to make use of, even though it's been failing pretty miserably for like their high-end cards, is that this is a system that is plug and play on that home media server that you're using. So like this is going to be like a card of choice for like that self-hosting crowd.
I highly doubt.
Well,
because remember, it has that tag Pro, so it's gonna have Pro pricing.
That is true. You are going to be paying for it, but it's still going to be cheaper than even some of those used NVIDIA GPUs that you're looking at, because brand new out of the box, this thing has an MSRP of $299 US.
Let's correct that, $300.
All right, it says $299. So, but yeah, it's gonna round up to $300.
You need to round it. That's just a trick to make you think you're saving.
Yeah, it saves you 7 cents on the dollar. Yeah. So, anyways, and the important, honestly, that price alone. I want to see like performance charts in comparison with like the other brands, because they showed off like their own benchmarks, but this needs to be like independently validated.
Yeah.
But I'm curious as to how performant that B60 is going to be, because that's they call it for your inference workstations, or probably like your small data center GPU. I would assume.
I'm not sure this is nowhere near small data center. This is literally for inference workstations. So one of the things AI you need to do on AI is inference, and this will do that just okay. The problem with this for any kind of serious usage in a data center, where let's say you wanna do, I don't know, compete with A100s or whatever the current name of the NVIDIA Tesla or whatever data center GPUs is, or data center acceleration cards, is those have 100 and even more gigs of RAM. We're talking many times more than what this Intel card offers. This is a workstation card. This is in class with Quadro, not with data center card.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry I don't understand GPU stacks and professional workloads. But I'm probably still gonna be like I'm gonna be eyeballing that B50 because my server right now currently runs B570 because I'm a savage and I just happen to have one. And it's been working great, but it'd be nice to get like a GPU that doesn't suck up so much power when my server just sits idle most of the time. And of course, it's old AMD system, so it doesn't even have the hardware acceleration built into it. So that's why I need the GPU to begin with. But anyways, these are looking to be coming out in like the third quarter of this year.
Yeah.
And we're currently in the second quarter, which means they're coming pretty soon. In fact, Bigpod at Computex, they already have operational partner boards running displays, which means these are already being manufactured.
So these have plugs for the cables, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then they definitely aren't meant for data centers.
I mean, I've seen data centers with micro HDMI and micro DisplayPort.
Yes, but not on a GPU. You have for that something called some other parts like motherboard. A GPU is there for compute, not for display.
All right. Well, anyways, with like everything that we've seen out of just Computex, Lighted, this is like same day reporting that we're talking about this. So, and of course, we're not at Computex, so we can't get like the latest and greatest information on to like how far along these cards actually are to like being on a store shelf that you and I can buy from. So the only thing I can think of is that they're just waiting to build up supply stock. That way they can just pop them on the shelves or make sure that those Dell Power PC buyers or so on are capable of ordering them from like their suppliers.
As I think this isn't meant so much for consumers, so I'm thinking there won't be much problem with that, since they probably won't even be on store shelves.
That's possible.
Josh, did you know Nextcloud shouted at Google and Google actually listened?
Wait. Isn't Google like massively bigger than Nextcloud?
Yes.
To the point where it's like I'm surprised that Google even knows who Nextcloud is.
Well, they probably should know. It's their big competition.
That is true. Because what's better than Google's cloud? The one you host yourself.
Yeah.
So, what happened?
So apparently there were some issues in quotation marks with Android's permission system for Nextcloud app, and all file access refused out of the blue. And a request to use a more privacy-aware replacement for the app. Apparently.
So, wait. Doesn't Google's Drive application just have access to all files to begin with?
Yes.
So what? What? Hang on a second here. So, after reading this article myself here a little bit here, it seems like that's actually the case. Whereas Google's Drive application has full file access permissions that they were blocking Nextcloud from being able to handle. And I'm guessing that they weren't blocking just Nextcloud, but maybe some other cloud providers too. Because I know on Android,
Probably.
if you look up like cloud storage service in like the Google Play Store, you probably get like 700 plus options. Because heaven
You
forbid,
probably get Google, Microsoft, you get
Dropbox.
Dropbox, you may get Kufer, which is a Slovenian one. You get Nextcloud, and myriad more.
Yeah. So, I bet you Nextcloud is not the only one that ran into an issue like this, because a lot of them tend to support sync and file upload, which Nextcloud is talking mostly about like an issue with the file upload. Now, Google has fixed this, but they didn't really make a statement about it. They just kind of fixed it and told Nextcloud, yeah, this has been resolved, and that's it.
Basically, just for a more broad explanation, one of the permissions is called all files access, but they tried to make it that all files access wouldn't be available, because for majority of apps you don't need access to all files. Something like cloud storage might.
Yeah, which, you know what? I can understand that, because heaven forbid, why does my music player need access to my pictures?
Yeah.
Why would this third-party note-taking application that I only ever take, text notes, and I'm not linking, and it has no features that allows linking to any external resources and adding them in. Why does that need access to all the files?
No idea.
It doesn't. Yeah, so that's probably why this API call exists on Android.
Yeah.
Now, since Nextcloud is the only one to really complain about it, maybe Nextcloud was individually targeted, and there's some precedent to that argument, because Nextcloud has a antitrust page on their website. If you go to antitrust.nextcloud.com, they actually do have this big long post talking about like the dangers of Google's cloud, Microsoft's cloud, and Amazon's cloud. And they even have been filing antitrust complaints with the EU for quite a few years at this point. So there is some precedent to Nextcloud's claim that they're being targeted specifically.
That could also be true.
Obviously, this would be like in the EU's court, and I'm all fine with the EU suing Google even more. So I'm curious. So we'll see if like anything comes out from this. We may or may not have an update about this article in the future. But if you're using an Android device and you were using Nextcloud and you ran into that issue, Nextcloud does actually tell you how to actually work around it, or you just update the application and it just works. That said, if you do run into the issue, it turns out that the F-Droid version of Nextcloud worked perfectly fine. It was only an issue if you installed Nextcloud through the Google Play Store.
Interesting.
That said, Nextcloud says that there's only a known number of about 800,000 Android users. How they're getting that number, we don't know. So maybe it's not that big, at least on Android. I know that it seems to be very popular on like self-hosting forums and websites,
yeah,
and videos. because, it's Nextcloud. It does a lot of stuff. And it does it relatively well. Relatively. Not the greatest, but it does work. So, Bigpod.
What?
I need to send an email to these guys that run the show called the No Tux Allowed / Future Warhammer podcast. How do I do that?
You send an email to contact@tugspace.com.
Oh, and do you put in the subject line what your favorite Warhammer army is? Because I guarantee you, it's probably not Adeptus Mechanicus, but I am also a pretty big fan of Works.
Sure, you can put in the subject line whatever you want.
Yeah, that said, I am also very new to this game too. So if somebody wants to send me like 1,000-point list that I can build, because I went down the rabbit hole and I bought like 7 boxes worth of miniatures, and I'm not going to tell you how much it cost.
And I have no idea what he's talking about, so yeah.
Yep. So, anyways, send us an email in there, or give us some feedback on the show, or if you want to be extra special, tell us what distro I should install next, because heaven forbid this Fedora installs. Sometimes this weird thing happens with like installs that I do with just KDE Plasma. I just run into like these headaches with like the Plasma workflow, and I just get off and I just do a reinstall anyway. Not that I'm having issues with the distro or anything, but because I'm just sick and tired of Plasma, and it's easier to reinstall than it is to manually remove every single Plasma thing from your system. So maybe the audience should decide what distro I should install next. Heaven forbid it needs to use at least a 6.2 or newer kernel, because I only use it until Arc GPUs. Yeah, engagement challenge. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment too. Comments always help. Now, if you would like to talk with each other, we do have a Discord that's linked in the description down below. I'm not going to have it as a link across the screen, because it's one of those free Discord links that involve a lot of text, because in order to get the fancy one, it would require that we actually give Discord money, or we could just set up like a reverse proxy hack thing.
Yeah.
Bigpod, we should probably do that at some point. It's just a single Nginx configuration file, right?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah, something like that. And you can also find like links to stuff at our wonderful front page of tuxspace.com, which unfortunately is not a static website. Boo-hoo. I mean, that page is, but the Castapod instance that we're using to manage the podcast is not a static website. There's like a whole topic about that. We got into a discussion with a guy about that a couple weeks ago, but hey, that's for something else. Now, Bigpod, I heard that somebody wants to give us money, so they should. I think that they go to this patreon.com/10lej, right?
No,
Not
they
that
don't.
One?
No.
Oh, okay, good, because that one. I don't even think that one is able to accept donations right now. So maybe they just go to No Tux Allowed.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/No Tux Allowed. Just go there and give Tuxspace the money. That way, it doesn't go directly to me, so I can buy more Warhammer stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
We would highly appreciate it, because I need a better vid editor.
I mean, we gotta pay like recurring costs of the company first, because I would like to have this company be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Lighted. There was enough in there that Tuxspace has been able to pay for itself once already, and it's almost ready to pay for itself a second time. It's just that it's not able to do this every single month. Now, that said, there's a reason why I'm having this discussion, because we're doing this podcast the hard way. Darn it.
Yeah.
We're controlling that RSS feed ourselves, which means that we need to pay for like this wonderful publicly accessible server. Well, actually, we're paying for 2 of them right now, but there are more details on that one that we might have later in a future episode, maybe, or maybe even in that special RSS feed that we would link to you if you sign up and give us money on the Patreon. Maybe we'll cover it in a special super secret show over there. Because if apparently you care enough to hear something about that. Now, of course,
and before we do that, and if you wanna use a platform that is hosted relatively well, but it is hosted by somebody but you do not want to do it yourself because you want to do a podcast, not be a system admin like I am. Send me an email at bigpod@tagspace.com and we can make a deal and get you a space on Tagspace for your own podcast.
Yes, because heaven forbid, if anything else, we need to figure out just how scalable we can be. It's supposedly doable, but we haven't had the scale yet.
So, and if you know a podcast that needs to move from its platform, get them to get in contact with us. We have very, very flexible plans available. They're all completely flexible, as there is only one plan. Let's make a deal. And
yeah, so
you can have one listener or billions. I can make it work.
I hope you can, because heaven forbid, I'd be scared of that bill if it doesn't work.
Well, if they pay me enough money, I can make it work. Or they pay us enough money, I can make it work.
That is true. That is true. Matt from the Linuxcast, I know you pay attention to our podcast. I know you want to be jumping platforms sometime soon. Send Bigpod that email. So, anyways, I think that's it for our show today.
Yeah.
Just about?
Just about.
Okay, well, I'm going to take off because, I got to build a 1,000-point army by Saturday, and it's currently Monday. So I've got a lot of work to do. I'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye.